Sada 24/7. My name is Saumya Prakash, and today again we have come with another video which is covered under Champion series, where we are discussing unit-wise module, all the units of the modules, and we'll be covering principles and practices of banking today, and the unit is documentation. So we have seen so far that we have already done the application part, we have done the assessment of the units. So after the application, which we take, where where we studied about different kind of borrowers to whom we cater to, and after application process we did the assessment work. After assessment we generally do the sanction, and after sanctioning the loan we do the documentation before disbursing the loan. So why documentation is such an important topic? Because it will have all the details on what terms and conditions you are giving loan to the customer. So documentation is very important in terms of, because whatever you are doing in the bank, that is going to be a evidence that you have just had a transaction with the customer. On what terms and conditions you have done this transactions. If suppose someone is buying home loan from you, then on what terms and conditions you have given the home loan, what security you are taking, for how long, what will be the tenure of the loan, what will be the rate of interest, who all are going to be the borrowers, who will be the guarantor. Everything is written in the documentation. Even if you get transferred from one branch to another, you have to keep it so well that the another person who is coming to that branch, he is able to understand that on what terms and conditions the loan was provided to the customer. So let's see what are the important things that you should keep in mind while doing the documentation work. So these are some of the acts which are very relevant in terms of when we are doing loans, and we are doing the documentation part. So it will cover the Indian Contract Act, Partnership Act, Companies Act, Indian Registration Act, Limitation Act, Indian Stamp Act. So these are the acts which will be taken care of when we are doing the documentation part. Now, understanding why the documentation is important. Why do we need documentation? So we need documentation because it helps us to identify the borrower. We identify the security which we are taking. If it is home loan, then home will be the security. If it is a car loan, then car will be the security. If we are giving loan to a firm for against their goods, then stocks will be the security. We will have hypothecation on stock. We may also take some extra security, that is the collateral or secondary security, as land and properties. We have documentation creates a written evidence of transaction of lending made by the bank. There should always be a written evidence that there was a transactions on certain terms and conditions on which the bank provided money to the customer, and customer agreed to repay that loan or repay that money back to the bank on that terms and conditions. To ensure due repayment of the loan by the borrower or guarantor, to entitle the bank to take legal steps whenever the customer will default, this documentary evidence will help the bank to take the legal steps against the customer. So be treated as a it will be taken as evidence for taking legal steps for recovery of loan in event of non-payment of borrower and or guarantor, and to create a valid effective security. Whenever we are taking security, in the previous unit you must have studied that you have to create a charge on that security. So we have to create a valid charge on that security, and for that documentation is going to be important. Now these are different types of documents that we generally take: demand promissory notes, bill of exchange, agreements, and forms. So in demand promissory note, we usually take demand promissory note when we are giving demand loans and the time period is not clearly defined. So this is mainly for demand loans. Bill of exchange, as we all have read that bill of exchange is like an undertaking or an order, that is an unconditional order to make the payment. Then we have agreements. We take different kind of agreements based on what kind of loan you are providing, to whom you are providing, whether the customer is an individual or a firm. This all will be covered in the agreements. All the terms and condition will come under agreement, and agreement will be different for different kind of loans and different kind of borrowers. Then we take certain forms where we take some undertaking, like we have to get we need to take certain forms, like for SI, where the customer gives you mandate that you can debit their account for repayment of the loan. That will be covered under forms. So let's see what are the features of different documents which we take. When fixed period, where fixed period for repayment is not specified, we usually take demand promissory note. In DPN, borrower makes a promise. So this is important, that the customer is making a promise to the banker to repay loan amount on demand with agreed rate of interest. So we will be having one rate of interest. We will define what will be the repayment period, what will be the loan amount, and what would be the rate of interest. Form of DPN should be in conformity with Section 4 of NI Act 1881. DPN attracts stamp duty as per Indian Stamp Act, and rate on DPN is uniform throughout India. So this is important, that in DPN whatever we are taking the stamp duty, it is uniform in all over India. In case of agreements, whatever we are taking, the stamp duty is not going to be same throughout India. It differs. It differs from state to state because it is applicable as per the State Revenue Act. So what will whatever in which wherever you are posted, you will have to know that in which state what is applicable. According to that, you will take that will come under agreement. But in DPN, it is same throughout the India, and it must be ensured that DPN is duly filled in and stamped before you get it signed from the borrower. So these are some of the important features of DPN. Now comes agreements. Form of agreement should be in conformity with the Indian Contract Act. Here you will be specifying very clearly that what will be the amount of loan, what will be the rate of interest, rate of penal interest, percentage of margin, period of repayment, right of bankers in case of default of loan, details of, in rights of banker it is written that what kind of legal measures bank can take if the customer defaults, then what kind of legal measures bank are allowed to take. Whatever charges you are putting in, according to that you will be given the rights according to the law that you can proceed against the customer. Details of securities and security charged. We will be taking some of the securities. In the previous two units, we have seen that there are different security which we take from the customer in different loans, and we also have to put a charge on that. So all the details are going to be included in the agreement. It attracts stamp duty as per Indian Stamp Act, and stamp duty on agreement varies from state to state. So if you are posted in Rajasthan, if you are posted in Delhi, if you are posted in Maharashtra, or you are posted in Chennai, so stamp duty on agreements, all the agreements, different kind of agreements, we have hypothecation agreement, guarantee agreement, We also have some arrangement letters, there'll be mortgage deed. So in all different kinds of agreements which we take, you will have different stamp paper required as per the stamp this given by the revenue department of the state. Bankers use different form of agreement depending upon the credit facility, whether credit facility is retail, home loan, car loan, personal loan or business loan. So it will depend on the facility which you are providing and also on the lending arrangement. What kind of lending arrangement you have with the customer, it will also depend on that. Then as I told you that you also have to take some forms which are in the nature of promise or agreement. Like if the customer has to pay and they want to give a promise that you can debit their savings account or debit their salary account and you can debit the loan account of the customer, you will take forms for that. These are obtained to specify clearly intention of the borrower. Example, when a payment is to be made out of loan proceeds to a supplier of good, a letter from borrower authorizing bank to pay the proceeds by mean of draft or banker's check is taken by means of a form. Like one of the example could be that suppose after debiting the loan account, you have to credit the suppliers. Suppose someone is taking car loan, so you will be crediting the dealer's account. If someone is taking car from Maruti, you will credit the Maruti dealer's account. So for that also, when you are taking that mandate of debiting the loan account and for crediting the dealer Maruti dealer's account, you will take a form for that from the customer. Now, what is the procedure of taking document? You have to take correct set of documents because document is going to be different from different type of loan. For car loan, it is going to be different from home loan. For personal loan, it is going to be different from car loan. For business loans also, it is going to be different. It will also depend on the kind of customer you are dealing with. Whether the customer is a proprietorship concern, it is a partnership concern, or a company or individual, the set of documents will differ and it will depend on that. You have to take proper stamping. You have to do the stamping of documents. Amount of stamp duty has to be paid. Then you have to fill all the agreements, forms which you have taken from the customer. There should be no ambiguity. There should be nothing left because once you get transferred from one place to another, it will be difficult for you also to remember on what terms and conditions you had given loan to the customer. So you have to fill the forms so that it is complete and whoever is coming to the branch, they can identify and they can understand that on what terms and condition loan was given to the customer. Then you have to get it executed. Executed means that you have to get it signed by the customer that he should accept to all the terms and conditions given, and he also signs that, and there should also be witness that he has been told about what are the going to be the terms and conditions of the loan. Then we have legal procedures. Keeping document valid is important because all the documents are have some limitation period as per the Limitation Act, and for that you have to keep the documents valid all the time, because if it is time barred, if the document becomes time barred, you cannot go to any court of law for going against the customer. For any kind of legal procedures won't be able to take. Safekeeping and preservation of documents is also the responsibility of the bank, that you keep it safely. Now, selection of correct set of documents. You have to ensure that you take the correct set of documents, whether you are giving loan, term loan, working capital or demand loan, or you are taking mode of charge, hypothecation, mortgage deed. So these all documents are going to vary. And that is why it is very important that you understand to which customer you are providing which kind of loan and which of documents you will have to take. So whether it is The type of borrower is individual or a company. Then we have to do the stamping of document. It will be in accordance with Stamp Act as amended by concerned state government. There are few laws which are given under this. As per section 17 of the Act, you have to get all the documents, all the stamp documents have to be stamped before or at the time of execution. If it is executed by any person in India, under section 18 of the Act, if it is executed by any person who is outside India, then it can be stamped within 3 months after it has been first received in India. As per section 19 of the Act, first holder in India of any bill of exchange, payable otherwise than on demand or promissory note drawn or made out of India, shall affix thereto proper stamp and cancel the same before he presents the same for acceptance or payment, or endorses or transfer or otherwise negotiates the same in India. And section 35 of Act, it cannot be admitted as an instrument if it is not stamped. If it is not duly stamped, you cannot admit that instrument. This is again very important that the documentations are governed by Limitation Act 1963. This act specifies certain prescribed period within which any suit, appeal or application can be made. So there will be a documentation. After every documentation there is going to be a limitation period. There is a expiry period for all the documents. And you can go to the court, you can take any course of action against the customer only if it is under the certain prescribed period. That is why you have to keep the documents valid and in force. If the documents are expired or are time barred, the banker cannot take any legal course of action to recover the dues. For preventing this, you either take the revival letter, and if it is time barred, if the document become time barred, then you have to take fresh set of documents. Then you take fresh set of documents. Now let's do some questions based on what we have done so far. So which of the following is are correct in respect to DPN? Where a fixed period for the repayment of loan is not specified, the bankers take demand promissory note. In DPN, the borrower make a promise to the banker to repay the loan amount on demand with agreed rate of interest. The form of DPN should be in conformity with Section 4 of the NI Act 1881. DPN attracts stamp duty as per Indian Stamp Act. The rate of stamp duty on DPN is different in different state. So it differs in different state. All are correct except 1, all are correct except 3, all are correct except 5. Which of the following is or correct in respect to DPN? DPN is demand promissory note, where a fixed period for the repayment of loan is not specified. The bankers take a demand promissory note. In DPN, the borrower makes a promise to the banker to repay the loan amount on demand with agreed rate of interest. The form of DPN should be in conformity with Section 4 of the NI Act 1881. DPN attracts a stamp duty as per Stamp Act. The rate of Stamp Act on DPN differs in different state. All are correct except 1, all are correct except 3, all are correct except 5. So we have seen that this is true, that if there is no fixed period for repayment, DPN can be taken. In DPN, borrower make promise to banker that to repay the loan on demand with agreed rate of interest. This is also true. The form of DPN should be in conformity with Section 4 of the NI Act 1881. This is also true. DPN attracts stamp duty as per Indian Stamp Act. This is also true. The rate of stamp duty on DPN is same throughout the state. So this is wrong, and that is why the right answer is D. As per Section 17 of the Act, all instruments chargeable with duty and executed by any person in India shall be stamped before or at the time of execution. Which of the following act we are referring to in this statement? Indian Contract Act, Indian Stamp Act, Limitation Act, or Indian Registration Act? As per Section 17 of the Act, all instruments chargeable with duty and executed by any person in India shall be stamped before or at the time of execution. Which of the following act we are referring to in this statement? As per Section 17, As per Section 17 of the Act, all instruments chargeable with duty and executed by any person in India shall be stamped before or at the time of execution. Which of the following act we are referring to in this statement? Is it Indian Contract Act, Indian Stamp Act, Limitation Act, or Indian Registration Act? So it is, we are talking about Indian Stamp Act here. Right answer is B. As per Section 18 of the Indian Stamp Act, every instrument other than a bill of exchange and promissory note which are chargeable with duty and executed out of India may be stamped dash it has been first received in India within 3 months after, before, or the at the time of execution, any time during tenure. So this is time, any time during the tenure of loan when, and stamping is not required after it has been received in India. As per Section 18 of the Indian Stamp Act, every instrument other than a bill of exchange or promissory note which are chargeable with duty and executed out of India may be stamped dash it has been first received in India within 3 months after, before, or at the time of execution, any time during the tenure of loan, or stamping is not required after. So right answer is that it can be done within 3 months after. So that's it for today's session. If you have not enrolled for our courses, you can enroll for our courses and you can start your preparation with us. We already have batches going on and we'll also be coming up with more batches, but it is better that you start your preparation as early as possible. That will help you to get some time for your revision as well as so for that you'll have to go to Adda 24/7 site. If you have not downloaded the app, first download the app through Google Play or Apple Store. Then you have to go to all courses, go to JIB CIB. You can go to JIB May 2025. As you can see, there are different batches. Batches are available in both the languages, English as well as Hindi. You can take this JIB Increment Mahapack, where you're getting Mahapack, double validity with it, as well as JIB Increment this increment box, which will have 4 practice books, 1 planner, study planner, and you are also getting what are the questions which were asked recently in few of the JIB exams. So all the topics which has been asked, as well as you are also getting some of the merchandise from the Adda 24/7. So you have to use the code Y984 and apply, and you will get the maximum discount from this. And you can, with this, you can start your preparation, start as early as possible. Only 3 months are left for your exams. So with that, wishing you all the best, and thanks for watching this video.